the ground shake.
My good friend Joe.
We are back at the feeding table here.
We are back, and I'm so jazzed and happy about that part one on that off-season diet that we did, because so many people took to it, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be a hit, because it's like just you sitting there talking for 20 minutes about diet, but people found it so interesting and so many little nuggets of knowledge in there. What's the feedback you got from it?
I got really good feedback, a lot of comments, a lot of inboxing thanking for the information.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just not a lot of understanding about metabolism or nutrition in this space, I don't feel. There are at some levels, there are some really good educators and some really good nutritional coaches, but we've become very much a numbers industry. Like when it comes to, it's all macros, and the body doesn't know numbers. There's way much more going on than just calorific intake. As I mentioned, like even things like the incretin signal in the last part. I mean, I urge anyone who's watching this part who hasn't watched part one to go and watch the food part of part one, because you're going to see this diet that we're talking about today is a condensed version of part one. So part one was a diet sent to me by an Ifbb approach, about 6,000 calorie diet. And he was struggling to get the food down. So it was too voluminous and he couldn't get the calories in. So this one is obviously a much more condensed version of the diet with the same macros, but the food volume so much less.
What do you call it? Hacking the diet?
Yeah, this is hacking the diet. And I'm not saying by any means this is how I would set a diet up, because it isn't. So generally, if I was setting someone's diet up, they would normally have 3 diet days. So especially in the off season, I would normally have one day where I would really push carbohydrates and keep the dietary fat low, and that would go with insulin sensitizing products like Matador, which we are using here, or advanced bodybuilders may use exogenous insulin on that day. So I'd push carbohydrates really high, and that would get super compensation, saturation, and the following day's training, you'd have crazy pumps. And then a standard training day, which I would always call a base day, would be much more mixed using nutrient timing. So we're going to discuss that a little bit here, because it's kind of got that going on. So the food choices are based on the activity level at a certain time and trying to manage inflammation and not cause too much damage. And then a non-training day is when I'm really trying to press the reset button. So I'll pull carbohydrates down, increase healthy fats, and these specific fats, we're going to talk about different fats in context and why I use certain fats on certain days. And in this diet, we're restricting the fats to certain sources, because a lot of people understand carbohydrates, but they don't understand the roles of different fats. They can be pro-inflammatory, or they can really help reset, get people back to a level baseline and improve insulin sensitivity. So I'm doing my job with the diet that I was sent to try and just help people, give people ideas on how they can get calories in. And I would use this diet and some of these meals as a stepping stone to help prime your metabolism. So in areas here, like where we've got shakes, as soon as your body's got used to handling these calories, then I'd be looking to put whole foods back in. So this is very much a stepping stone. You might take ideas here for 1 or 2 meals to incorporate into your diet, but that's all you need to be looking for. And these are all stepping stones to priming the metabolism, because as you increase food volume, if your training intensity and your output and your working in the gym is not improving, then you're just having calories for no real reason. You're going to get accrued body fat. So we've got to kind of switch the focus from eating food for food's sake to food has to fuel training. We need to start thinking like athletes. So we're performance athletes in the off season. We need to improve our numbers in the gym, or our volume or our level of intensity, and that's how we develop the physique.
Nice.
It's sending the stimulus that's going to cause the adaptation, the hormetic stress, and the food just supports the recovery and the next day's training to allow us to progress, not focusing on the food and getting calories in and making the scale move without the performance in the gym going at the same time.
Nice.
So
Makes sense.
that's a little bit of a background as to what we're doing here and the reasons for it. So I guess we can start running through a few of these meals.
All right.
So meal one here, we've got 3 packets of grits, super easy digesting carbohydrate with some honey. So we get about 75 grams of carbohydrate, very low volume. Originally this was like 150 grams of oats, which I'm not a huge fan of oats for everybody because it comes often with gluten. It can cause some irritation to the gut and be very permeable for people with sensitive gut, and that's just going to start a cascade effect to inflammation, but potentially leaky gut, where things start leaking through the gut and getting into the bloodstream. Later on down the line can cause an autoimmune disease. So prevention's better than cure. We're looking for an easy to digest neutral carbohydrate, and I find grits really, really good. So we've used them here, and as opposed to having 4 whole eggs and 10 egg whites, which was in the original diet, which was a shed ton of volume, what we've actually got here is the 4 egg yolks. And we're using the egg yolks because that's where the most nutrition is. There's choline in there, which can help with inflammation. You get a whole host of vitamins in there, some polypeptides in there. There's so much. I could do a whole show on just the value of an egg yolk. They're one of the most micronutrient dense foods that you can get. It's almost like having a multivitamin. So don't throw your yolks away if you've got room for them in your diet. They're hugely beneficial. So what I've done is mixed 4 yolks in with a serving of greens. So the last diet pretty much had not a great deal of micronutrient content. So I was very mindful that we increase micronutrients in the diet whilst we're still pulling down food volume, because often what you'll find is when we're condensing food volume and often people use more processed and refined carbohydrates, then the micronutrient content goes out the window and the body can't function on calories alone. We need the support network at a cellular level, the micronutrients, to help support muscle growth and recovery. It all plays a very, very vital part, and any deficiencies over time are going to cause not just a lack of progress in physique development, but also health implications. So we've got a serving of AD Grazed, which is all organic greens, gluten-free, and it's actually enriched with branched chain aminos. So you get 5 grams of branched chains in here, 4 grams of leucine to initiate muscle protein synthesis. So it's a great kickstart to the day to get greens in and also initiate muscle protein synthesis. So very underused. There's no sugars, no carbohydrates, and it's certified gluten-free. We test for gluten. I'm a celiac, so I'm very cognizant of what goes into the product. So it's a great add-in, and this one's chocolate flavour. And we married that up with Mass Chaser, which is a weight gainer / meal replacement. So 1 serving of this, it mixes in 4 ounces of water. So if anyone's like, there's 4 egg yolks in there, and there's a weight gainer and some greens. I think I told the story about this product. It's actually, we only just released it just after the Olympia, but it was inspired back in 2010 when I was helping my mum with cancer. And anyone who's been around that disease knows that getting people to get calories in after treatment is a nightmare. They don't want to eat. So I was hacking her diet. I wasn't doing it with carbohydrates, but I was thinking of everything was about calories per mouthful or calories per bite. So I would bargain, just give me 2 mouthfuls, give me 2 bites. So I sat on this product concept and obviously released it at the Olympia. So 1 serving of this, 2 scoops, mixed in just 4 ounces of water, and it will give you 78 grams of carbohydrate, which is a tri-speed carbohydrate. There's 3 sources. So we've got a little bit of dextrose in there to give a mild insulin response up front. It's got tapioca starch, which is more of a mid-range carbohydrate, and then we've actually got carb 10 in there, which is very high molecular weight and really, really low insulin response for sustained release. So you get 78 grams of carbohydrate in there with 25 grams of protein from whey protein concentrate, 80% concentrate. It's the highest concentrate rate possible, so it doesn't cause any gut irritation, very easy on the gut, and you get 11 grams of fat from MCT. Now, the fats are actually important because when we're in a carbohydrate-rich environment, I only like to use specific fats. So I'm going to tie this in with meal 2, where we've got coconut oil, which also has a high percentage, usually around 60% MCT. MCTs are metabolized very differently. They're a ready source of energy. So this helps spare carbohydrate, but they don't take long to become accessible. So it doesn't really, you don't risk any fats and carbohydrates causing advanced glycation end product. Now, I wasn't really going to talk about this here, I was going to save it for later, but AGEs, advanced glycation end products, are when you've got refined carbohydrates or specifically sugars in the diet, and they can actually bind to proteins and they can bind to fats. And what happens is they stick together, and that can cause inflammation, and it's what you'll see in diabetics. It'll affect the tissues. So it will cause insulin resistance and inflammation, but can also affect organs, so eyes, the brain, and the kidneys is what I'm really cognizant of, kidney health with bodybuilders. So a way to sidestep that is to use MCTs and cleaner burning fats when you're having some form of refined carbohydrates, but also there's some preventative measures you can take from a supplement standpoint. Vitamin C will help, but an antioxidant called ALA will help, which is why we have it in Matador, our glucose disposal agent. This product's actually 9 years old, so we've got a litany of testimonials over the years from type 1 and type 2 diabetics who have, type 1s who have halved their insulin use when using Matador. Type 2s will actually help people get over type 2 diabetes. I'm not saying it's due to the product, but obviously with the proper nutrition, this has helped play a part, and people stop using metformin, glucophage, using this as a replacement. We are the only company who will tell you per capsule how many grams of carbohydrates you'll cover off, and that's between 30 and 50 depending on your level of insulin sensitivity. And we can only do that from years of historic blood glucose testing with athletes and obviously with diabetics and patients, but I'll leave the medical side of things. So this has got ALA in there, which is known to help with prevention of advanced glycation end products and also increase insulin sensitivity. So it's going to make these carbohydrates more favourably go into muscle tissue as opposed to float around in the bloodstream, potentially cause AGEs, but also increase the risk of body fat accrual going to adipose tissue. So that's why we use that, and I use that with pretty much every carbohydrate meal when we're working in a high carbohydrate environment. The only time I potentially wouldn't use that is post-workout when we're very insulin sensitivity and the GLUT4 pathway is already activated. So it's not like I'm here to push products. This is actually going to help extend your off-season, keep your insulin sensitive, and the longer we can keep the off-season progressive is the less time you're going to have to reset and diet and keep zigzagging. So we can really progress and keep healthy, keep our blood glucose in check. So that's pretty much meal 1. There was one other product which I want to mention when it comes to AGEs, because not many people talk about advanced glycation end product. And it's something that is progressive. The longer you stay in an off-season, the more refined carbohydrates have. So prevention is to reduce sugars, but we can't help it in our sport when we're off-season. We're going to get some processed carbohydrates. We just have to when we get to a point we need to push calories. But I want everyone to go and look at benfotiamine. This is a really not really well known about unless you're in the health circles supplement. So it's actually a fat-soluble precursor to a B vitamin. So if you take this, it actually helps prevent advanced glycation end products. I would urge anyone who's pre-diabetic, type 1 or type 2 diabetic, to do some research into this product and add it to their arsenal, because it's pretty unique and it will really help. And the dosage on that, it usually comes in 150 to 300 milligrams. For a therapeutic dose, I've looked anywhere between 300 and 600 milligrams. So I just wanted to give you guys a nugget out there with something that's not very well known about for you to go away and look at, because honestly, that's an amazing supplement. So from a health standpoint, I'm always cognizant. Please go away and look at it, because it will help keep you insulin sensitive and prevent any damage at a cellular level and help look after your organs. Okay, so that's enough. We'll move on to meal 2. And this had almond butter in originally. It was like 30 grams of almond butter. The chicken stayed the same, which was, how many grams, Dave? Testing you now.
200?
200 grams, bang on.
I listen.
And it was just the standard rice. You know, I think it was 2 cups of rice.
Yeah.
2 cups of rice originally. So I wanted to what I want to do here is give you some different options. So the chicken's the same. Well, actually it's less, because we've added the cheese. It's got 2 ounces of cheese on here, which is fat-free. So you guys in the States, you don't know how lucky you are, because in Europe, fat-free cheese is not as accessible. So I think the macros on that 2 ounces give you 18 grams of protein.
18 grams for the cheese.
No fat, and I think it's like a couple of grams of carbs, trace carbs, which is phenomenal. So a way of adding flavour, a little bit of variety to just having plain chicken. And the carbohydrate source we've got underneath that is something called gnocchi. So it's, as opposed to having, it's derived from potato, but it looks like it's a pasta. It's really quick to cook. It takes 2-3 minutes in boiling water, and it's rehydrated potato. So we actually, we have the package right here.
I never heard about this. Huh.
Yeah, it's used in Europe a good bit.
Okay.
But I like it because, again, I like potatoes because we get a lot of potassium from potato. Mm-hmm. Potassium is something that we really, really need a lot of. And a lot of people are deficient in it because we just don't get the right amount. I mean, a maintenance recommendation is about 4,700 milligrams, but we're athletes, we need more.
Yeah.
So another great source, which I've actually got in the back, I didn't put out, is spinach. Everyone knows about bananas being high in potassium, but spinach is awesome. I'd use spinach in pretty much all of the meals, especially in off-season. It's really easy because you boil that, steam it, it goes to nothing. Like literally a cup is next to nothing. It's really rich in potassium. So again, it's another, if you want to have a green vegetable, that'd be one of the first ones that I go to. And also added to that is the 1 spoon of coconut oil. I mentioned before, we were using almond butter. Coconut oil is just so much faster. Again, it's mainly MCTs, like I mentioned in the Mass Chaser. And dense fats, like almond butter that have fibre attached to them, just slow down the rate of digestion. And we're not trying to achieve that. So while it might be beneficial in another day, like I mentioned before, I would have a day where it'd be full of different fats, high monounsaturates. I would probably use an avocado, which has a fibre attached. But we're looking for quick digestion so we can get ready for the next meal. So that's why we've got coconut oil. And I did throw this here as an option as well, which is mayonnaise, but it's made with avocado oil. So again, it's a monounsaturated fat, something which I don't mind using in conjunction with carbohydrates. I try and stick to primarily monounsaturated fat and MCTs and obviously omega-3s, as we'll see later on. But those are kind of the 3 fats which I'll try and stress here, unless I'm trying to evoke an inflammatory response from, which you would get in like a cheat meal, which is where I want more animal fats, some saturated fats in there. And I call those performance meals. So they're ones that we know are not going to be ideal for health, but they're a necessary evil to get a boost in training performance. So while I will often incorporate per se cheat meals or performance meals right off the bat with somebody, when training needs picking up, that's something where I would just say, okay, well, we're going to drop out that meal and put in the cheat meal, performance meal here, go out and eat this. So it might be like a ribeye steak and some potatoes or some pasta, and add some other fat to that and some sugars. So that's how I would incorporate them. But other than that, these are our baseline fats. Meal 3, pretty self-explanatory, very easy. We've got the 6 ounces of shredded beef, and again we've got the gnocchi and the fat-free cheese. You can add sauces to that. We've got barbecue sauce, a little bit of sugar. Again, I just mentioned about AGs, we're trying to limit sugar, but 5 or 6 grams just for a bit of flavour is going to help. What we need is to satisfy our taste buds. So when we're eating the same things, and actually studies on this, I don't know if I spoke about this last time. There was a study done where people could eat ad libitum, so as much as they wanted, and they'd eat at a buffet. So one group could just go and eat anything from the buffet, and the other group could eat as much as they want, but they were refined to, I think it was 3 food choices, and the governor was on. So they self-regulated the caloric intake just because the choice wasn't there, the variation in flavours. So we want to try and get as many different flavour sensations. So what really helps is sometimes it's crunch, it's sweet, and it's salt. And that's the reason I put salt on here. So that will help you get food down. A little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt will go a long way. If you look at any processed foods, any fast foods, any junk food, they all have salt, they all have sugar. There's a reason for that. They're smart, it'll get you to eat more. So use a little bit of that just to help you get the meals down. Absolutely no problem. Next meal is pre-workout. So go and watch part 1 to actually explain why the muffin is probably going to be beneficial pre-workout, and there are benefits to that. So please go back and watch part 1 because there's some good information there. Yeah. Again, before it was high volume, it was chicken. It was chicken and rice, and then a muffin on top of it. I don't like food volume going into a training session, and if you've just had these meals and you're going to have some intra-workout nutrition, which I know for a fact this athlete was, I don't see the need to have a lot of solid food sloshing around in your gut. It pulls money? It pulls,
I wish.
It pulls blood. I don't know where money came from. It pulls blood into your digestive tract and away from the muscles. So I want something quite light while training as your pre-workout. And this is the Flavour Green. I have no clue what it is. Sorry guys, I bought it this morning from Sprouts. But that's egg whites, 25 grams of protein from egg whites and 25 grams of protein from the man himself, Mr. Cutler. So I love that one. This is amazing. The I've not had the chance to speak to Jay, but whoever does his flavourings for his proteins, they're on the money. This one's wonderful. And one thing I do want to say is that anyone who knows me will know that this actually means something when I'm like recommending a protein, because I have severe gut issues and I can't really have any milk proteins in any volume. So unless it's a true pure isolate, I can't really get away with them. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I've used this one. I got 0 bloat, 0 gut irritation. I was absolutely fine. So I wouldn't need to run this through a test and the acid test for any protein. If I don't get any reaction, then the protein's on the money. So props to Mr. Cutler himself, because that's a pure protein and it tastes great.
Awesome.
So 2 proteins in there, egg whites, pretty fast, and isolate, again, rapid, great digestion, and that'll take you into a workout. You should feel great and not with a heavy gut. Post-workout, we've got the cereal. So we actually cut the cereal down. You could do all cereal if you wanted, but I want you to throw in some other options. So we've got a slice of Ezekiel bread, cinnamon raisin, which is 18, Dave?
18 grams.
Dave knows numbers as well as anyone when it comes to food. I keep trying to catch him out and he always spits them out. So
I weigh everything. Jay keeps making fun of me for that. Yeah, I actually brought my full-time bodybuilding scale here today.
Yeah, I actually text Dave on the way here. I was like, Dave, please bring the full-time bodybuilder scales because I've left mine. So he's like, I needed to text you, right? You always carry that.
Always.
So we've got that with a little bit of honey. I like honey as a carb source, as a sugar source, as opposed to things like jam and just raw sugar, which is primarily sucrose. Because honey is 100% made up of glucose and fructose. We have 2 transporters. Obviously, we've got the GLUT4 transporters, things that are going to transport glucose into the muscle cell, but we've also got transporters for fructose in the liver. So you can actually uptake those 2 very rapidly. So they're going to be in the system really quickly. So honey is just like the go-to sugar, in my opinion. Do your research and try and find something better, and then come back to me. It'll take you a while, you won't find one. So that's why we've got that there. The cereal, self-explanatory, you don't need to go into that. It's fast-acting, high sugars, getting a really high insulin response from it. But I will say, those are absolutely delicious. I don't think I don't think they're in Europe yet. But
chocolate
frosted flakes.
Frosted flakes.
Tony the Tiger's on the front.
That's right.
I know it by the character, but those are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then here we've got egg whites. Oh, Dave, I've made a glaring error here. So this is the egg whites and the Cutler Nutrition. The pre-workout is the collaboration.
Right.
So that's Mass Chaser, which is the 78 grams of carbohydrate and 25 grams of protein from concentrate with the Cutler Nutrition.
Right.
So that's vanilla cake batter flavour.
I tasted that. It was awesome.
Cinnamon.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was the twin speed protein. You know, so you get the isolate and the concentrate, which is going to keep sustained amino acids.
Right.
So, sorry guys, we have too many drinks that look alike. I'm not.
No, you said that. You said there was a combination of the two.
No, I said it was egg whites.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So this is this one. So this is egg white. This is egg whites and the Cutler Nutrition,
Okay, gotcha.
and that's the AD Cutler Nutrition collab.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna write it down, so that's okay.
Yeah. Look, guys.
This is all in the cup, guys. This is live TV, man.
This is live. And idiots like me make errors, so forgive me. I'm trying to give you the important stuff and I forget the easy stuff. The final meal was salmon and oats. Again, I've already explained oats. And look, just replicate sushi.
That's right.
Yeah, so we've got salmon. By all means, cook it. I'm going to be brutally honest. I was lazy and I didn't cook it. And I actually eat it raw myself. Be careful with that. I'm not recommending it. Unless it's sushi grade, you can get parasites. Take it from someone who knows from experience. Eating raw, you can get parasites. Been there, done it, don't recommend it. But I do like it raw. And white rice. So this is 6,000 calories.
Did you say 6,400?
Yeah, it's around 6,400.
Wow.
That's what he told me. I'm like,
it doesn't look like
this is so easy to get down.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy easy to get down. The apple was in the original. We kept it intact. Again, I think I mentioned it before, but there was actually a study done specifically on apples, measuring insulin response. So what they did was they had apple juice, apple sauce, and an apple. And they measured glucose response and they measured insulin response to the three. And they actually controlled for time. So if this took me 2 minutes to eat the apple, it would take Jim, who was drinking the apple juice, 2 minutes to drink the apple juice. So there was no variation in time for the speed of the nutrients going in. And what they found was no real difference in glucose response, but a huge difference in insulin response. So go back again and watch. I mentioned about the incretins. The structure of the food that we eat has a massive effect on what goes on hormonally in the body. So just bear that in mind, guys. It's not all numbers and everything isn't created equal. Most of the answers to good nutrition, healthy nutrition, which is best for the body, is packed in nature. The clues are already there. We've evolved from eating from nature. So the most of your diet, unless we're putting in performance meals or we have to push calories and we just need to meet energy needs, should be in their natural state. I like to call it like the no-label diet, because you should be able to go and fill your shopping basket with meats, vegetables, fruits, carbohydrate sources that don't have 50 ingredients. They should have single ingredient pretty much foods. And trust me, you'll be healthier, your body will progress. It's just a much better way to go about it. And then spike metabolism where needed with some of the processed foods altogether to elicit a response. But think about it in that way. Let's get the base, the bulk of the diet from nature, and then hack your diets with some of these supplements or easier ways to get calories in, or just like processed food to meet calorie needs, or to augment a hormonal response like I talked about. They can be very beneficial. So it's like when you want to jack insulin up, using sugars, using some processed carbohydrates can be beneficial. They're going to drive nutrients into the muscle, going to help us recover. Doing that chronically throughout the day is going to absolutely, I'm going to swear, so it's going to screw you.
Not a good idea, yeah.
So let's not do that. A couple of supplements, I already mentioned the Matador.
Yep.
with the carbohydrates. I don't need to cover that anymore. We do actually have a secret site though. I'll get you to put a link in theyellowpills.com because these pills are yellow, and we've got testimonies on there, and we actually did like donut challenges. So we had people take their fasted blood glucose, then eat donuts, then 90 minutes postprandial after eating, we'd have them test the blood glucose and we'd see how high the blood glucose went. The next day we'd have them fasted, do exactly the same thing but use the Matador, and we'd have people with 30 to 40 points lower blood glucose using the Matador, and some people even get back to baseline fasting levels. So no other company are putting things out. We actually, we've started to collect data on an asset, so I'll give you that link, and anyone who's actually nerdy enough to want to go and check that out, do so, because I'm proud of that product. It's 9 years old and it's changed a lot of people's lives, and a lot of other companies are releasing these type of products and they're just guessing. They don't do the testing. So proven to work, stick with it. While I was talking about micronutrient deficiencies, this is another product of ours in our AD Lifeline. It's our multivitamin, and this is in keeping with everything I've just told you about food. So this multivitamin is derived from food sources. There's nothing synthetic in here. So it's got a full ingredient panel which will tell you which food sources it came from. So it's going to hit 100% of your, what do you guys call it over here? DV? Or, daily value. I mean, recommended daily allowance over in the UK or whatever over here. So it hits 100% of all of those. But I want to put a caveat to that. That recommended daily intake, RDI, or allowance, RDA, is only enough to stop us getting deficiencies. It isn't per se what we actually require to thrive. So this is great to cover your bases, but we still need to have the diet to build on top of that, especially as performance athletes who are pushing our bodies. So taking this and then eating junk isn't going to cut it. We need more. This is going to stop you from getting a deficiency, but you need to build on top of this. Okay, so this is just the first brick in the house that you're building. Okay, so don't rely on supplements. Look, I own a supplement company. I could easily say, hey, take this, you're golden. You're not. This is a safety measure. But please, please, please pay attention to the diet and build on top of this. Also in here, you do get some omega-3 from plant-derived sources. It's actually a vegan-friendly product. It's in veggie caps. So it's a little bit extra to this, and some mushroom extracts as well. Really solid product. But again, use it as a base, get your nutrition right around it. Other products, I did mention this in part 1, but anyone who's looking to increase food turnover, ravenous, use it. Digestive Enzymes, betaine HCl, which is going to boost your stomach acid. You're going to break food down quicker. You're going to assimilate nutrients better. It's got oxbile in there to help with fat breakdown and assimilation. It's not about putting calories down your neck, guys. It's about assimilating them and being able to use them. I've had so many people come up to me and say, I keep upping my calories, but I'm not gaining, I'm not noticing the difference. My first question is, how often are you going to the bathroom? You've got to be able to process what you're putting in. So keep the body healthy, manage inflammation where possible, and try and get the most bang for your buck out of your foods. Get the most micronutrients from your food, the most nutrition from your food, and then take the supplements if needed to help augment that. We are not designed to eat 6, 7, 8 meals a day. So we need help with our digestive tract to break these foods down. We just aren't designed to do it. Yeah. So we do need to supplement. And you will notice, if anyone over here has been bodybuilding for say 10 years, you probably won't find a bodybuilder who doesn't struggle at some point with their digestion, some distension, or some foods that irritate them. So please, please, please pay attention to your gut health and making sure your digestion's on point. It will translate into your physique.
Awesome, Joe. Thank you.
No worries.